On the edge of the galaxy, the planet Zerathia glowed under the light of two suns. Its skies shimmered with strange colors, painting streaks of purple and gold across the clouds. From above, the planet seemed peaceful, almost serene. But down, on its surface, tension filled the air. The people of Zerathia were not used to visitors, especially not visitors from distant galaxies. Among the throngs of observers gathered in the valley near the capital city, humans stood quietly, their hearts pounding. They had traveled far from their own homeworld, Earth, hoping to witness the legendary power of the alien queen, the ruler whose name alone caused entire species to tremble. Her fame had spread through countless star systems. Stories told of her cunning, her unmatched strategy, and the advanced technology that no army had been able to overcome. In the crowd, a young human named Liam shifted nervously. He was smaller than most of the beings around him, with brown hair and eyes that seemed too curious for the danger he faced. Yet curiosity was what had brought him here. Liam had always been fascinated by other worlds, by creatures who lived differently and thought differently. He had read countless reports about the alien queen, about her battles, her victories, and her empire that stretched across dozens of planets. Now he was seeing her in person. The valley fell silent as the sky darkened. A fleet of shimmering ships appeared, gliding silently across the horizon. They were enormous, sleek, and unlike anything humans had ever designed. The ships moved in perfect formation, their surfaces reflecting the twin suns in dazzling patterns. At the center, the largest ship rose above the rest, crowned with a symbol that humans could not recognize but felt in their bones as a mark of authority. And then she appeared. The alien queen stepped onto the platform of her flagship. She was taller than most humans, with an elegant and commanding presence. Her skin shimmered with metallic patterns that seemed to shift like liquid light. Her eyes glowed faintly, not with anger, but with intelligence, sharp, calculating, and infinitely aware. Every being in the valley felt her gaze, as if it could pierce through their thoughts. The humans held their breath. Many in the crowd had come hoping to see history, but they were not prepared for this moment. Liam's stomach twisted with a mixture of fear and awe. He noticed how the other humans looked at her, wide-eyed, trembling, some even whispering prayers under their breath. But Liam's mind was racing, not with fear, but with questions. How could one being hold so much power? What could they possibly do to stop her? The queen spoke, her voice calm but resonant, carrying across the valley. It was strange to the humans, beautiful yet commanding, as if every word was carefully measured. She did not shout. She did not need to. Every creature there listened, in complete attention. She declared her purpose to unite the galaxy under her rule, to bring order, and to show strength to those who opposed her. Liam watched closely. While most of the crowd saw only power and dominance, he noticed something subtle. The way her forces moved, how her guards responded, the slight delay in communication between her ships. It was almost imperceptible, but it was there. To Liam, a pattern was forming, a pattern that suggested that even the mightiest could make mistakes. He tried not to stare too obviously. No one noticed his quiet calculations, or if they did, they thought him simply a curious human. Around him, other humans whispered nervously. "She's unstoppable," one said. Another muttered, "There's no way we can fight her." Liam did not answer. He knew fear was natural, but fear alone did not change anything. He scanned the valley and the sky, noting where the queen's forces were positioned. If one could act carefully, perhaps even subtly, there might be a chance. The queen raised a hand, and instantly, a holographic map appeared above her platform. It showed countless star systems, planets, and fleets. She highlighted some key systems she intended to take next, and her words carried both warning and promise. Any resistance would be crushed. Obedience would be rewarded. The crowd gasped at her precision, at her power to control entire regions from a single location. Liam felt a shiver, but not of fear, of anticipation. He could feel that a story was about to unfold, a story in which the ordinary could face the extraordinary. Suddenly, a demonstration began. The Queen commanded a squad of her elite defenders to showcase their abilities. With precision that seemed almost magical, they moved, attacked, and defended, making the human's own technology appear primitive. Explosions of light flashed across the valley, yet no one was hurt. It was as if the Queen wanted to impress rather than destroy. Still, Liam's eyes were sharp. While others only saw beauty and power, he noticed patterns in the movements, small openings, moments of hesitation, a repetitive cycle. It was subtle, but it was there, and in his heart, a thought grew stronger. If someone brave enough and clever enough could act, there might be a way to challenge her. For now, though, the humans remained spectators. Many felt hopeless. Many wanted to hide. Yet, in the midst of the crowd, Liam felt a quiet determination building. He did not yet know how, but he sensed that he could not just watch history happen, he might have to shape it. The sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the valley. The Queen and her fleet began to prepare for departure, moving on to her next target. The humans remained behind, whispering among themselves, unsure of what they had just witnessed. Some were inspired, some were terrified. But Liam walked through the crowd, his mind racing with ideas, plans, and possibilities. He knew the path ahead would be dangerous, but he also knew that courage often begins with a single step. And so, as the alien fleet disappeared into the distance, leaving the planet behind, one human quietly resolved that he would not be just a witness. He would stand, and perhaps he could change everything. The galaxy had seen the alien queen, but soon it might see something even more remarkable: human courage. The next day, the skies of Zerathia once again darkened with the arrival of the alien queen's fleet. This time there was no hesitation, no ceremony. The queen had come to prove her strength, not just with words but with action. Crowds gathered near the city walls, curious and afraid. Among them stood Liam, the young human who had quietly studied the Queen the day before. His heart pounded in his chest, but his eyes were sharp, observing every detail. He knew that today the galaxy would see the true extent of the Queen's might. The Queen appeared on her platform once again, her presence commanding silence. She raised a hand, and her voice echoed across the valley. Strength is not spoken. Strength is shown. At her signal, her soldiers stepped forward. They were unlike anything the humans had ever seen. Tall, armored in shining metal that reflected the suns, and moving with precision, as if controlled by a single thought. Their weapons glowed with strange energy, humming softly as if alive. The Queen pointed toward a squad of warriors from another planet, brave defenders who had volunteered to test her strength. These warriors were strong, larger than humans, with thick skin and natural armor. They were respected across the galaxy for their endurance in battle. Many in the crowd whispered that perhaps they would last long enough to challenge the Queen's forces. The battle began. The defenders rushed forward with great roars, their heavy steps shaking the ground. But the Queen's soldiers moved with speed and grace, dodging attacks and striking with precision. Beams of light flashed across the field, and in moments, the defenders' weapons were destroyed, their armor shattered. They fell one by one, unable to match the flawless rhythm of the Queen's army. The crowd gasped. Some covered their mouths in shock, others turned away. Even the bravest humans felt their hope sinking. If warriors this strong could be defeated so quickly, what chance did anyone else have? But Liam kept watching. His eyes were not on the defenders, nor on the Queen's soldiers. Instead, he watched the patterns. He noticed how the soldiers always moved in groups of 4, circling in perfect coordination. He saw how they paused for a fraction of a second after each strike, as if waiting for a hidden command. He noticed that while their attacks were powerful, they were predictable. To most, the battle looked flawless. To Liam, it looked like a machine repeating the same sequence again and again. The Queen raised her hand once more, and instantly the battle stopped. The defenders lay defeated, unable to rise. Her soldiers returned to formation, standing tall, their armor untouched. The queen looked over the crowd with calm pride. "This," she declared, "is order. This is the future." The humans murmured, in fear. Some whispered, "She cannot be stopped." Others shook their heads in despair. Even the leaders of other species who had gathered looked pale and silent. Liam, however, felt something different. Fear, yes, but also a spark of possibility. He thought to himself, if their moves can be predicted, then their power can be avoided. If their rhythm can be broken, then they can be defeated. But he kept his thoughts quiet. The crowd was not ready to believe in weakness when all they could see was overwhelming power. The demonstration was not over. The queen gestured again, and a massive machine rolled forward from her flagship. It was towering, larger than a building, with glowing panels across its surface. With a single command, the machine released a wave of energy. In seconds, a wall of stone collapsed, turning into dust. Another wave, and the ground itself cracked, open, shaking the valley. Humans stumbled back in terror. Mothers pulled their children close. Even the bravest men clutched their arms, unsure if they could remain standing. The queen smiled faintly, not cruelly, but with certainty. She was not showing her strength to frighten. She was showing it to convince. To her, resistance was foolish. To her, surrender was logical. But Liam's sharp eyes caught another detail. The machine, after releasing each wave, dimmed slightly for a few seconds. It was small, but noticeable. The power drained before recharging. During those seconds, it was vulnerable. Again, a pattern. Again, a weakness hidden behind power. He leaned toward another human beside him, whispering, "Do you see that? The machine, when it attacks, it weakens for a moment." The man shook his head quickly. "Don't say such things. She'll hear. You. We cannot fight her." Liam fell silent, but his mind did not. He could not unsee what he had seen. The queen ended the demonstration with a final command. Her forces returned to their ships, leaving behind the ruined wall and shattered ground as proof of her dominance. She looked once more at the crowd and spoke. "Choose wisely. Stand with me, and you will know peace. Stand against me, and you will know defeat." The fleet began to rise into the sky, ships glowing like stars, until they disappeared into the distance. Silence remained in the valley. The people whispered, their voices heavy with fear. Some spoke of surrender. Some spoke of fleeing to distant worlds. Few spoke of hope. But Liam walked quietly through the crowd, his heart unsettled. He did not yet have a plan, but he knew something important. The queen was powerful, yes, but not perfect. Her army was precise, yes, but also predictable. Her machines were strong, yes, but not endless. As he returned to the human quarters in the city, he repeated a thought in his mind. There are always cracks. Even the strongest wall can break if you find the right place to strike. That night, as the twin suns set and the stars filled the sky, Liam could not sleep. He sat by the window, watching the galaxy above. Somewhere, he believed, a chance existed. A chance for humans, small and underestimated, to turn the tide. The alien queen had shown her might. She had shown the galaxy that her power was unmatched. But Liam had seen something else. Something the queen herself might not have realized. And, in that quiet moment, he knew. One day someone would have to stand. The night after the queen's demonstration was long and restless. In the human quarters of the city, silence filled the air. Families huddled together, afraid to speak too loudly, as if even their words might draw the queen's attention. Some sat staring at the floor, others whispered prayers, and many simply closed their eyes, hoping that tomorrow would not bring destruction. But Liam could not stay still. He sat near the window, his eyes on the stars. The queen's fleet had left, but her shadow still lingered over the planet. Her power was real, her army unmatched, and her machines terrifying. Yet in the middle of all that, Liam had seen something different. He had seen small cracks, moments of hesitation, predictable movements, weaknesses hidden inside strength. He thought to himself, if no one else sees it, then maybe I must be the one to speak. The next morning, While most humans walked quietly, with their heads down, Liam found a small group gathered near the edge of the market. They were traders, workers, and travelers, ordinary people who had no weapons, no armies, and no plans. They were simply frightened. Liam listened as they spoke. "She's unstoppable," one man said, his voice shaking. "We should leave this planet before it's too late," another whispered. "Running won't save us," a woman replied. "Her fleet stretches across the stars. There's nowhere to hide." The group fell into silence. Their words carried no hope, only despair. Liam took a deep breath and stepped closer. His voice was calm but steady. "Maybe she's not as perfect as she looks." The others turned to him, surprised. "What do you mean?" the woman asked. "I was watching yesterday," Liam said. "Her soldiers move with precision, yes, but they repeat the same patterns. I saw them pause between attacks. I saw them rely too much on signals. And that great machine, after it used its energy, it weakened for a few seconds." "Did no one else see it?" The people shook their heads. Some frowned, others looked doubtful. "Even if it's true," the man muttered, "what can we do? We don't have armies. We don't have ships. We don't have anything." "Maybe not," Liam admitted. "But what if power is not everything? What if we can outthink her? Patterns can be broken. Machines can be tricked. Armies can be confused. She believes we are weak, and maybe that is our strength. She doesn't expect us to fight differently." For a moment, the group stared at him. A flicker of interest appeared in their eyes, though it was buried under fear. "You're only one human," the woman said softly. "What difference can you make?" Liam's answer was simple. "A single spark can light a fire." The group said nothing more, but his words lingered. They did not laugh, they did not argue. Instead, they carried his whisper of hope quietly in their hearts, unsure but curious. That night, when the humans gathered in their quarters again, the whispers spread further. Someone repeated Liam's words. "The Queen's army is strong, but not perfect." Someone else added, "Her machine weakens when it attacks." Slowly, the whispers began to move from ear to ear, quiet as the wind, but steady. Liam noticed. He did not stand on a stage or shout to the world. He simply spoke when the time was right, gently planting ideas. He told small groups about what he saw. He explained that power was not the same as perfection. He reminded them that even the greatest walls had cracks. At first, people were afraid to listen. They glanced over their shoulders, worried that spies might hear. But as the days passed, more humans leaned closer when Liam spoke. More began to nod. More began to wonder if hope was possible. One evening, a young boy tugged at Liam's sleeve. His eyes were wide, but his smile was shy. "Is it true?" he asked. "Can we really stand against her?" Liam knelt down, looking the boy in the eye. "It is true that she is powerful," he said, "but it is also true that no power lasts forever. If we think carefully, if we work together, maybe we can surprise her. Even the smallest voice can change a story." The boy's smile grew brighter. For the first time, Liam saw hope reflected in a child's eyes. But not everyone agreed. There were some who shook their heads, calling him foolish. "You'll get us all in trouble," they warned. "Better to stay silent, better to survive." Liam did not argue with them. He knew fear was strong, but he also knew that once hope was planted, it could not be erased. Meanwhile, far above the planet, the alien queen sat within her flagship. She gazed into her maps, her eyes glowing faintly as she studied the galaxy. She had noticed something unusual. Her reports told her that humans were quiet, obedient, fearful. Yet beneath that there was a change, a faint ripple, a subtle shift in the way they gathered, the way they looked at one another. The queen narrowed her eyes. She could not see the whispers, but she felt the atmosphere was different. She told herself it was nothing. Humans were too small, too unprepared to matter. Still, a seed of doubt touched her mind. On Zarathia, Liam continued to speak quietly. He shared what he had seen. The pauses, the predictable rhythms, the weaknesses in the machines. He encouraged others to observe as well, to use their eyes, not just their fear. Slowly, the humans began to look differently at the Queen's forces. Instead of only seeing strength, they began to search for cracks. One woman, a mechanic, whispered to Liam one night, "I watched the machines too. You were right. When they recharge, their defenses lower, if someone knew the right moment." Her voice trailed off, but her meaning was clear. Another man, a trader who had traveled across many planets, added, "Her soldiers do not think for themselves. If their commands are blocked, even for a moment, they freeze." Piece by piece, the humans began to share their own observations. Piece by piece, they began to build something new. Not weapons, not armies, but knowledge. It was still small, still fragile, but it was real. Hope, once a whisper, was now quietly spreading through the crowd, and Liam knew this was only the beginning. He stood one evening on the roof of their quarters, looking out at the stars. He could feel the fear still heavy around him, but he could also feel the sparks of courage growing. The Queen did not yet know it, but a storm was building, not of weapons, but of willpower. Liam whispered to himself, "The tide will turn." The calm days on Zerathia did not last long. The alien queen was not a ruler who waited. When she decided a planet must kneel, she struck quickly. Soon, her fleet returned, filling the skies with silver ships. The humans and other species on the planet looked up in silence, their hearts heavy with dread. This time the queen did not come only to demonstrate. She came to take. Her voice echoed through the valley as her image appeared above the city. Zerathia belongs to the Empire. Those who submit will be spared. Those who resist will learn the meaning of futility. The people trembled. Many dropped to their knees. Some whispered that it was over before it had even begun. But in the human quarters, Liam stood among his people. His heart pounded, but his mind was sharp. He had spent days whispering hope, listening to others, and gathering small pieces of knowledge. Now he felt the time was near. The Queen's weakness was not in her strength, but in her certainty. She believed resistance was impossible, and that belief could be turned against her. The attack began at dawn. Swarms of drones flew down from the sky, sleek and glowing, their weapons humming with energy. They moved in neat patterns, circling the city and striking at defenses with mechanical precision. Buildings shook, alarms rang, and chaos spread through the streets. Most people ran for cover, their fear overwhelming. But Liam did not run. He shouted to the humans around him, "Remember what we saw, their patterns, watch their timing." Few stopped, uncertain. "What can we do?" one man cried. "Anything," Liam answered. "Distract them, break their rhythm. We don't need to destroy them, we need to confuse them." With trembling courage, a small group followed him. They grabbed whatever they could, mirrors, tools, pieces of metal, even light signals. When the drones circled, they reflected sunlight into their sensors, breaking their focus. Others threw objects into their path, forcing them to adjust. The drones hesitated, stuttered, and for the first time broke formation. Liam felt a surge of hope. "It works," he shouted. "They're not invincible. They're only machines." The news spread quickly. People hiding in buildings peeked out, watching as drones faltered. More humans joined, throwing rocks, shining lights, and creating noise. It was small, but it was enough to disrupt the perfect rhythm the Queen's army relied on. Above, in her flagship, the Queen watched the battle unfold. Her eyes narrowed. She had expected fear. She had expected silence. But what she saw was disorder, not in her army, but in the crowd below. Humans were not running. They were standing. They were fighting in ways she had not predicted. She leaned forward, her voice calm but edged with curiosity. "Interesting." On the ground, Liam and his small band moved quickly through the city. He guided them with careful words. "Wait until they fire, then move. Count the pause, 1, 2, 3, then strike." The group followed, and together they brought down several drones, not with weapons, but with clever tricks. But the Queen was not finished. With a command, she unleashed her towering machine. the one that had shattered stone and cracked the earth during her earlier display. It rolled forward, glowing with energy, its panels bright as the sun's. The humans froze in terror. The ground shook beneath the machine's steps. Its weapons hummed, preparing to release another devastating wave. Liam's mind raced. He remembered what he had seen before, the brief moment of weakness after each attack. He shouted above the noise, "It drains itself. After it fires, it is open. Watch for the dim light." The machine released its wave. The ground trembled, walls cracked, and dust filled the air. But as the energy faded, the glow of the machine dimmed just slightly. Liam saw his chance. "Now!" he cried. The humans leapt into action. They rolled heavy carts into its path, blocking its movements. Others hurled metal scraps at its glowing panels. Sparks flew. The machine staggered, its steps slowing. The crowd cheered, their fear breaking into courage. For the first time, the Queen's weapon faltered. From her flagship, the Queen rose from her seat. Her calm mask cracked for a brief second, replaced by surprise. She whispered to herself, "Humans." Back on the ground, the city was alive with resistance. What had started as whispers of hope had turned into action. People worked together, their courage growing stronger with every small victory. Liam ran through the streets, helping groups coordinate, shouting instructions and reminding them of the patterns he had studied. The Queen's forces pressed harder, sending more soldiers to the ground. They moved in flawless formations, but Liam's people had learned their rhythm. They set traps in the streets, blocked paths, and forced the soldiers to break formation. For every fall, 10 more humans rose with courage. It was not a grand army. It was not a planned rebellion. It was ordinary people standing together. As the suns dipped lower, the battle reached its height. Smoke curled into the sky, drones sparked and fell, and the great machine stood half-broken, its panels flickering weakly. The Queen's forces were still strong, but they were no longer perfect. Liam stood on the rooftop of a building, his chest heaving with exhaustion. Below, humans cheered as they brought down another drone. He looked toward the horizon where the Queen's flagship floated, glowing like a star. He knew the fight was far from over, but something had changed. For the first time, the humans believed. He whispered to himself, "This is the tipping point." In the sky, the Queen's gaze fell upon him. Though miles apart, Liam felt her eyes on him, sharp and unblinking. For a moment, neither moved, locked in silent recognition. She, the ruler of countless worlds. He, an ordinary human. Yet in that instant, she knew he was not ordinary. He was the spark she had not expected. The fleet began to retreat, not in defeat, but in calculation. The Queen was no fool. She had seen the truth. These humans were not as weak as she thought. She would not crush them in a single blow. She would study them, learn their ways, and return stronger. But for now, the city stood. The people cheered, families embraced, children laughed, and Liam, though tired, smiled faintly. The battle was not over. The war had not yet begun, but something greater had started. Hope had become real. The city of Zarathia was scarred by smoke and fire. Broken walls and shattered drones lay across the streets, yet the people stood taller than before. For the first time in memory, they had resisted the alien Queen and lived. It was not victory, not yet, but it was enough to show them they were not powerless. At the center of it all stood Liam. He was tired, his hands scraped and dirty, but his spirit burned stronger than ever. Around him, humans spoke with voices that carried more courage than fear. Children pointed to the fallen drones as proof that giants could stumble. Parents whispered that maybe, just maybe, they could survive this storm. But Liam knew the Queen would not stop here. She had pulled back, yes, but not in defeat. She was calculating, watching, planning her next move. And when she returned, her army would be even stronger. He gathered a small group of humans in the marketplace that evening. Some were traders, others farmers, a few engineers, and even children who had seen too much. Liam spoke clearly, his voice steady. "The Queen will come again," he said. "We all know it. But we have something now that we did not have before. We know she can be challenged. We know her army is not perfect. If we work together, we can do more than survive. We can stand. The group listened closely. Some nodded. Quickly, others hesitated, but no one walked away. How can we fight an empire? One woman asked softly. Not by being like them, Liam replied. We cannot match their ships or weapons, but we can be what they are not. They are predictable. We can be surprising. They rely on machines. We can rely on each other. They believe we are weak. That is our strength. They will always underestimate us. His words carried weight. People began to share their own ideas. The mechanic spoke about ways to disable machines with simple tools. The trader suggested using signals and mirrors to confuse the Queen's drones. A farmer described tunnels beneath the fields that could serve as hidden paths. Piece by piece, a plan began to form. Not a grand war plan, but a strategy of small victories. That night, groups spread quietly through the city preparing. Some gathered reflective surfaces to blind the drones. Others created noise traps to lure soldiers into empty streets. Children were taught simple signals with lights and cloth so messages could travel quickly without words. Everyone had a role, no matter how small. When the Queen's fleet returned 2 days later, the city was ready. Her ships filled the sky once again, casting shadows across the land. Her soldiers marched in perfect formation, their armor gleaming, their weapons glowing. To her, this was order, unstoppable and absolute. But the humans moved differently. They did not stand in neat lines, nor did they fight with heavy weapons. Instead, they scattered across the city, striking and vanishing, confusing and delaying. A squad of drones flew down a narrow street, their sensors searching for targets. Suddenly, mirrors flashed from rooftops, blinding them. Before they could recover, heavy nets dropped from above, entangling their wings. The crowd below cheered as the machines crashed to the ground. On another street, soldiers advanced in formation, their steps loud and steady. But hidden tunnels opened behind them, and humans emerged, striking at their backs with tools and traps. The soldiers turned, confused, their rhythm broken. Everywhere, the Queen's army met resistance it had never expected. From her flagship, the alien Queen watched closely. Her calm face remained steady, but inside she felt a growing unease. These were not trained soldiers. These were ordinary people with no great weapons. Yet they moved with purpose, with cleverness, with courage. For every drone that fell, for every soldier delayed, her certainty dimmed. Liam led from the heart of the city. He carried no weapon, only his voice and his sharp eyes. "Wait for the pause," he called as the great machine approached again. The humans ducked behind walls as it released a wave of energy, then rushed forward during the dim glow that followed. They threw ropes and chains, tangling its legs. Sparks burst as the machine struggled, stumbling under the weight. The humans cheered, their courage spreading like fire. They had seen what was possible, and now they believed it fully. The Queen's forces pushed harder. Drones swarmed in greater numbers, soldiers pressed from every side, and the machine roared with power. But the humans did not break. Each small group fought in its own way, using clever tricks, creating confusion, and trusting in each other. Adier. One moment, Liam found himself face to face with a squad of soldiers. Their glowing eyes stared down at him, their weapons raised. Fear struck him for a heartbeat, but he remembered his own words. A single spark can light a fire. He raised his arms and shouted, "Now!" From the rooftops, children flashed signals. From the alleys, nets and ropes flew. From the shadows, humans attacked with all their courage. The soldiers staggered, surrounded by chaos they could not process. Liam leapt aside, and the squad collapsed under the weight of the crowd's unity. The humans roared in triumph. For the first time, they were not just resisting, they were winning small victories. The Queen, watching from above, stood slowly from her throne. Her glowing eyes narrowed. She had underestimated these humans. They were not strong, not in the way she measured strength, but they were dangerous in a way she had not faced before. They were unpredictable, They were united. They were stubborn. She spoke quietly, almost to herself. Perhaps strength is not only in power. The battle raged through the day and into the night. By dawn, the city was still standing. The Queen's army had taken losses, small compared to her empire, but greater than she had ever expected from humans. Liam stood on the city wall, exhausted but proud. Around him, humans gathered, cheering not in arrogance but in relief and hope. They had faced the Queen's might again and had not been broken. He looked to the stars where the Queen's flagship hovered, silent and watchful. He knew she was studying him, and he knew she would return. The war was far from over. But now the galaxy had seen something new. Humanity's courage, humanity's cleverness, humanity's will to stand. The people looked to Liam, not as a soldier or a leader, but as a symbol. He was proof that one human could spark a fire strong enough to light an entire city. The Queen had come to show her might. Instead, she had seen the rise of something she had not planned for, the human stand. The city of Zerathia woke with tired but hopeful eyes. Smoke still rose from the streets, broken machines still lay across the ground, but the people stood tall. For the first time, they had resisted the alien Queen and lived to see another sunrise. Liam sat on the highest wall of the city, staring at the sky where the Queen's great flagship hovered like a dark star. It had not left after the battle. It waited, silent, watching. He knew this meant only one thing: the Queen was not finished. As the morning light grew, a strange sound filled the air. It was not the heavy march of soldiers, nor the buzz of drones. It was a voice, soft but commanding, spreading across the city. "Human Liam," the voice said. It was the alien Queen herself speaking through the air as if the very wind carried her words. "You have surprised me. Few in the galaxy ever resist me. None have held against me twice. You are different." The people of the city froze. Farmers stopped in the fields, children paused in their games, guards lowered their tools. Everyone listened. Liam stood straight, his voice strong. "We do not wish to be ruled. We are not your machines. We are people, and we will stand free." For a moment, silence filled the air. Then the Queen's voice returned. "Come to me. Alone. Speak with me, human. If you refuse, I will return with all my strength. If you accept, we may find another path." The people looked at Liam with fear and hope. Some begged him not to go. Others whispered that maybe this was the only chance to end the war. Liam's heart pounded. To walk into the Queen's flagship was to step into the jaws of danger. Yet he also knew that courage was not only found in battle. Sometimes courage was found in words. He nodded. "I will go." That evening, a small craft descended from the Queen's ship. It was dark and silent, like a shadow moving across the land. Liam climbed aboard while the people watched. No one stopped him, for they all knew this was a choice only he could make. The craft lifted into the sky, carrying him toward the flagship. His chest tightened as the massive ship grew larger before him. Its walls were smooth and endless, its lights glowing like stars. It felt less like a vessel and more like a living mountain. When the doors opened, he stepped into a hall so vast it seemed to stretch forever. And there at the end of the hall, upon a throne of silver and crystal, sat the alien Queen. She was tall and graceful, her presence filling the room with quiet power. Her eyes glowed softly, not with anger, but with deep thought. She studied him as if he were a puzzle she could not solve. "Human," she said, "you stand before me without fear?" Liam's voice was steady. "I feel fear, but I stand because my people believe in me, and I believe in them." The Queen tilted her head, her expression unreadable. "Your kind is fragile. Your bodies break easily. Your weapons are simple, yet you resist me. Why?" "Because we are more than our bodies," Liam replied. "We have spirit. We have imagination. We are not perfect, but together, we are strong in ways your empire does not understand." For the first time, the Queen's face softened. She rose from her throne and walked closer, her steps light but powerful. "In my empire," she said, "strength is measured by control, order, obedience, perfection. That is why we conquer. But you find strength in chaos, in unity, in hope. This is strange to me." Liam looked into her glowing eyes. "Maybe strength is not about control. Maybe it is about choice. You could crush us, yes. But what would it give you? Another city of silence? Another world of fear? Or you could choose a different path." The queen paused. Her empire had stretched across countless worlds, yet no one had ever spoken to her this way. Not with defiance, not with honesty, not with hope. She realized she stood at a crossroads. Behind her, massive windows showed the stars. For the first time, she wondered if her empire's path was the only one. "Human," she said slowly, "you are small, but your words carry weight. If I choose to leave your world, what will your people do?" Liam's answer came without hesitation. "We will grow. We will learn. We will meet the stars not as slaves, but as friends. And one day, when we are strong, we will remember this moment. We will remember that the alien queen listened." The hall grew silent. The queen turned her eyes to the stars, her mind deep in thought. She had built her life on conquest, but in this small human's words, she heard something she had never known. Respect freely given, not taken. At last she spoke. "Very well, human Liam. I will not destroy your world. I will leave it. But remember this. If you rise, rise with honor. Do not become what you have resisted." Liam bowed his head. "We will try." The queen raised her hand and light filled the hall. The ship trembled as its engines awoke. Moments later, Liam was carried back to his city, the stars burning brighter than ever. When he returned, the people gathered around him, cheering and weeping. Children climbed onto their parents' shoulders to see him, and elders bowed in gratitude. "The queen is leaving," Liam announced. "She has chosen not to destroy us. She has seen that we are more than weak bodies. She has seen our spirit." The city erupted in joy. Farmers dropped their tools to embrace their families. Traders lifted their voices in song. And even the wounded found strength to smile. For the first time, the humans of Zarathia felt truly free. That night, the sky lit with stars as the queen's great fleet rose higher and higher until it vanished into the darkness of space. Liam stood quietly on the city wall, watching. He knew this was not the end of humanity's story. It was only the beginning. Someday his people would travel among the stars. Someday they would meet the queen again, not as enemies, but as equals. He placed his hand on the stone wall and whispered, "We stood. We will always stand." The stars shimmered, carrying his words into the endless night.